The following is intended only for mature audience. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hey folks, P. Basardo here, and you're listening to the Smoke Free Radio Network.
That was interesting.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Vaping in the Mic. Last week we had our 1 year, 50-second show wrap-up, Bill Tully and I. Do you know that show actually went for a little over 2 hours? Now, if you ask Bill, the whole reason behind that was because I took the time to talk about every show that I had done before we really got into any of the clips. So, I know Bill is saying, it's all Mike's fault, and that's fine. This evening we got a great show. We're going to be getting to our guests here in just a minute. I wanted to take a minute to talk about two things. First, in Ohio, please get in touch with the committee members. Go to Vaping in the Mic. Go see the Ohio Vapor Trade Association page, OHVTA. Go check out Fig Ramsey. They've got phone lines and emails for all the people that are on that committee. They are trying to pass a 10-cent per mil tax. And we know that everybody in Ohio, that's going to kill it. Not only that, but they are saying that the wholesale side has to collect the tax and remit it every month. And there are some fees. And you have to have a license in order to be able to sell in Ohio. And your shop can only buy from licensed wholesalers. Come on, folks. We know that most of the people that are out of state. I've spoken to quite a few manufacturers, distributors that are out of state, and they're saying, no, we can't afford to do that. We would have to hire an entire group, or at least a single person, if not a group of people, in order to collect this tax, remit it every month, and actually do what it's supposed to be doing. So it's like, okay, we're not going to do that. The second thing, everybody stand up and applaud. San Francisco has now shown its true idiocy. They have now banned every vapor product. I believe it takes effect October 1st or somewhere in that time frame. No flavored vapor, no vapor product in San Francisco at all. Now you can still have a safe place for your injection. You can still defecate on the streets, and you can still, by God, you can still smoke, but you can't have something that is thus harmful for you. Who the hell does that? Really? You've got a product, cigarettes, that known to kill people, 480,000 people a year, and they vote to ban something that is 95% safer. I'm not even going to get riled up into that one. This evening, everybody, if you would, and I'm going to make sure that this gentleman is not on mute, because if he's on mute and I go to introduce him, I'm going to feel like an absolute idiot, because I already had one major kind of malfunction in my electronics. But this evening, if you would, I've ap gentleman from up north. Please welcome Mr. Nicolas Hesson.
Hello there. I'm from Canada, eh? I'm from up here in Canada, eh? How's it going?
I'm doing awesome. I'm glad that you're here. I caught some of your earlier shows, and I was watching you, and I'm like, I'm just sitting here going, this is fucking funny. I couldn't help it. I was enthralled. I'm just sitting there and watching, you know?
Yeah, you know, the things we put our attention to and watch these days.
It's almost scary at times, you know?
Yeah, but, you know, we get through it.
I was reading something somewhere. Proven fact, honest to God, somebody did a study. And they calculated, after watching 10 minutes of SpongeBob, a person's actual IQ level dropped by 10 points.
I believe it.
And it got worse after that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just a cartoon, really?
Oh, it's more than a cartoon. It's SpongeBob.
Yeah.
They got some crazy stuff in that.
And, dude, the whole show is like that. SpongeBob SquarePants in Bikini Bottom.
Yeah.
At the Krusty Krab.
The Krusty
I'm like,
Krab.
It is. The place, and it's shaped like a lobster trap called the Krusty Krab.
Yeah, and all the kids think it's funny, and meanwhile the parents are sitting there going,
oh my God, yeah. When you stop and think about it, this whole show is nothing but about sex. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And all the innuendos that go with it. Dude, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. It's been a hell of a week, I tell you. The news, the media is just so much stuff going on. That's just like, it hurts your brain. It really does.
Oh, tell me about it. There are some things that I just sit in and I watch and I look at this and I'm like, what the hell? What's going on up there?
Up here, recently we just got a new kind of notification of some of the regulations that are coming, and it's nothing too crazy, but like just a few little things that looks like they're following suit that the FDA does with the whole warning nicotine being right on the front of that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And the usual rules, nothing too crazy there. But just over the last week, there's been so many posted articles about kids at school finding e-liquid and going to the hospital, or, somebody's in the hospital because they were vaping so much it's in their lungs. We've got all these voting polls coming out saying, hey, Canada, they're banning vaping in San Francisco. Should Canada do the same thing? And it's crazy how many people are like, yeah, ban it. And you think to yourself, how does that make sense? How does a city ban vaping but not ban cigarettes? How does that work? We know how many people die all the time, every day, but it's cool. We'll keep the cigarettes, but the vaping, get it out of here. What?
Now, see, this is what gets me. In Canada, down here, we've got something called the MSA, the Master Settlement Agreement, with all the big tobacco companies in the States and all that shit. And there's nothing like that in Canada. But Canada still, I'm sure, the states, municipalities, precincts, all of them still require or rely on tax from cigarettes.
Yeah. It's all about money. It's crazy. It's so crazy. How is it that our health, the public health, is just thrown out the window because of a few articles and a few things and a few misunderstandings? They're like, no, we haven't been getting our cigarette money, though, so we should just keep the cigarettes around. Well, it's when you start banning just vaping and not cigarettes, that's where all of a sudden red flags go up everywhere, which I think is a bad move. It's just showing your true colors, like you were saying there. It's congratulations, guys. You just showed what kind of mindset and frame. Like,
Yes, and that's the saddest part of all of it. Because I'm here in America, in the States, and I am accustomed to now looking at the behind-the-scenes kinds of things when we're looking at MSA, when we're looking at Big Pharma, Big Tobacco, and we see it's about money. Yeah. But to hear that it's the same thing north of the border, to where Big Tobacco is playing just as heavy a hand, it's amazing. And I've spoken with a couple other people, and they tell me, when things start, like in San Francisco, they were the first ones to say, we're just going to ban flavors. And then it became a full onslaught. They don't want any vapor product. Here in the States, we know that that's going to afflict, I think might be some of the right word, but it's a disease that's going to spread all across the U.S. It'll go straight to New York, and then we'll just start boxing in where it affects. But ironically, it's taking effect in your place as well.
Yeah. It literally, it feels like monkey see, monkey do, and it's so funny to me because there's so much research done on cigarettes and how many people die. I mean, I believe the number was like 4,300 underage youth die from alcohol every year. Like we've got we've had the 4 counts that they listed in the report that we got. They said there were 4 counts of underage children or infants dying from nicotine. And if you look further, you notice that only one is in America, and the rest are in like other third world countries or just, and you read some of it, and it's like, that wasn't e-liquid. That had to have been pure nicotine or something. And so these are the numbers you're going to go off of when we've got 4,000 people dying from alcohol? Like, what?
It's amazing. And people only scan the headline.
Oh, yeah. Always.
You know? And that's what they'll sit and go, oh, yeah, but the news said this over here. Well, idiot.
I get so nervous to share an article sometimes because I want to share an article with all the vape family. And I want to say, hey, guys, look at this. We need to do something. But then all of a sudden, I think to myself, because I'm a nerd, oh, no, we're boosting this post. This post is going to reach more people. And it's going to reach those people that just hit share and don't read anything. And that's toxic. That's so toxic. But it's like, how do we discuss this? It's almost like we have to talk about it without sharing the link or visiting it, which is
it's sad.
Not ideal.
No, it's sad because people are no longer using their fully functional adult brain.
Yeah.
You know? Now, when you see something, either that the FDA has done or just like what San Francisco has done, do you just kind of sit there and go, oh, shit, here it comes again? You know, and is it an immediate action that people start to come and may talk to you or stop at your shop? Or, you know, does it filter in or does it come in like a tidal wave?
Yeah, it's funny because there's not a lot of my customers that come into the shop. Nobody really asks about anything. And if I start bringing it up, wow, their eyes light up. What? I didn't know this, but they're trying to ban flavors. They're doing all these things. It's crazy. And so these people that are vaping that aren't really aware of what's going on, it's so sad because they get disappointed. They don't understand. But then it's so disappointing to see. And it's such a struggle to explain to them what you need to do. So we do have little things like postcards and stuff that we do that we encourage everybody to do. I do, send people to the podcast and get them to try listen. But at the end of the day, it's us that are in the industry that really is going to have to fight the hardest because everyone else is living their day-to-day lives. And sometimes they're not thinking the way we think. They're not thinking about this thing when they go to bed. They're not thinking about it when they wake up. They're just trying to quit smoking. And they have no idea that could just be taken away from them.
Now, and you make an awesome point about that because the general public is not informed. They don't hear, they don't see, they don't pay attention to. Because if you were to stop and ask, not half, but some of the customers that come in, do you realize that right now there's a problem that your vapor product might be taken away? And of course the reaction is, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
They don't know. And yet, just like what you mentioned earlier, you would love to help educate some of those people. But you have to find the right way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to go screaming in fear. Well, I can't vape anymore. I might as well go back to smoking. No. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's and it's difficult too because when you talk about the vaping stuff and someone who isn't really like in the groups and the family stuff that we do with the vape industry, they get bored, right? So I sit here trying to educate them and they're like, wow. And so I do try to be a little bit more fun in the podcasts I do and stuff, but still it is a struggle, but I think it's something you never stop doing no matter how difficult it is. You still have to try to reach out to these people because even if 1/3 of them do something about it, that's huge.
If you could actually get 1/3, 33% or even 30% to get off their duff,
that's huge. And
make a phone call or I'm going to ask you an odd question. Do you see the same thing that I see down here that a lot of us do? It is nothing more than public apathy that they either don't care, they don't want to know, they don't want to be bothered.
There's somewhat of a kind of out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to deal with it. It doesn't affect me, so why should I care? Until you talk to somebody that maybe one of their family members have had cancer or they fought through it, or someone who was going to get cancer and their doctor told them, hey, stop smoking, try vaping, and they're still vaping and they're healthy.
Yes.
It's so crazy. I got customers that come in and they're like, hey, I brought my dad. I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, I got him off smokes. I convinced him to vape. And he was so proud and happy that his daughter got him off the cigarettes with vape. This is an example of, someone who's, 20 years old and is getting their father, who's 50 years old, off the cigarettes because she found vaping.
Yep.
And he's just as excited about it because he's healthy. And he's sitting there explaining to me like how good he feels. And I'm like, man, like you guys are the ones that should be given the testaments, because you can literally have a family that's explaining the difference in their lives. That's huge. They exist. They're still here.
It's one of the biggest things. I tell people, everybody's got their story of why they personally started vaping, and then they've got a story of one of the greatest achievements that they might have gotten someone else, and for a lot of us, it's a parent or a loved one, or somebody that's very close to us. Put those down, try this.
Yeah.
And they do, and the results that we see are phenomenal, but in the States, we have to be careful, If anybody is owning a shop down here, they can't go, hey, this is safer. No, that's against the law. Now, you guys up there...
I should clarify that it's 19 and 18 down here. When I said 20, I just realized it's 21 up there. So
19 and 18 for
purchasing vape products. Is it what's the age down there? Is it 21, right?
There are some states that it's still 18. I believe there are 14 states that have passed to 21, and there is, on the national level, through Congress, they want to make a bill to pass it to 21 all the way around.
Yeah.
They want to take away the rights of some of the states.
It's interesting. It's very interesting because I do believe that it's 18 in Alberta, 19 over here in BC, and I believe that's a fair age, because you think about when did you start smoking? I started smoking when I was 16 years old. I definitely wouldn't have started smoking if vapes were around, and I feel like that, might have set me off on a better foot.
Yep.
But it's hard to say that. You're not allowed to say that, right?
No.
You can't promote that kind of thing.
See, now,
it's crazy.
It's the odd duck, because I didn't start smoking until I was 19. I'm 51, so but I hear there's a consumer advocate, Kevin Crowley, that started smoking when he was 12. I'm like, where the hell did you come from? 12?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're right.
I think my grandmother was about 10 or 11 years old when she started smoking.
Oh my God.
She smoked all the way up until I had to shove a vape in her face, right?
Yep. My mom was the same way. She started when she went to, of all things, she started smoking when she went to nursing school.
Yeah.
Age of 18 or 19. It was the thing. Yeah, okay. About 3 years ago, I gave her a starter kit. Said, try this.
It's crazy because you've got this. So much has changed, and not a lot is talked about how many people have quit smoking. Nobody's talking about that. And it's like, how can you? Oh my God, my brain just hurts so badly when I think about this.
Do you have the same thing going on up in Canada? What I've noticed with the FDA, it's nicotine bad for kids, teen nicotine addiction.
Nicotine, yeah. It's all about the nicotine. Yeah.
Damn near everybody has stopped saying stop smoking. No, there's no other government agencies coming out going, we are now introducing a new thing for kids to stop smoking. It's like it's vanished down here.
It's crazy to me, and I feel like Big Tobacco's sitting there laughing. They're like, "This is playing out beautifully. Dance, puppets, dance." Did you hear that Scott Gottlieb? He just got hired over at the guys who make Champex or whatever, the gum.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What?
Yep. It's
crazy.
There was a meme, and Bill Tarling had floated it earlier, that Juul was absolutely upset. And they're going to go to war with San Francisco. But the guy squeezing the guy from Juul is the guy from Altria, the big tobacco company, sitting there laughing. Because they know it's going to force them to go back to smoking.
I got to imagine, just because of the way the media is these days, that if they keep this up, that it technically won't actually work out in their favor, because us as a population, I like to believe we're a little more woke than we have been in the past, and there's a lot more things that we can get exposed to. And I believe a lot of people, I know a lot of non-vapers that are in 100% agreement that they're watching this and going, what? I don't even vape, and that is crazy.
Yep.
So I can see it eventually blowing up in their faces and everybody just starting to call them out on it. And the government's going to have no choice but to finally, hey, guess what? The people are going to riot. Well, they won't. I mean, okay, let's track back there. The people won't riot, but it's going to be clear as day. And whether, hopefully we can do something about it with that visual impact of, hey, look, are you guys watching this? Are you guys seeing the fact that all of a sudden smoking is okay again? What? Like that's the fucked up part, is that somehow out of all of this, smoking is okay again.
Yeah, and that's what grabbed my attention. And I've spoken with a couple other people about it. Did you notice that nobody is telling kids stop smoking? They're saying stop vaping. Folks, I would much rather have a kid with a jewel in their face than a cigarette.
For what reason would we stop vaping? I can give you bajillion reasons to stop smoking. It does, like, what? Give me one of them. Well, the popcorn lump. Okay, don't do this, because you know how much more diacetyl is in fucking a cigarette. Like, we're not going to go down this road unless you want to understand facts. If you don't want to understand facts, well, all hope is lost. No. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
It is, and we're going to circle back to that in a couple of minutes. You just moved your studio. Now, you were out by Vancouver.
Yes. Yeah, I was out in West Vancouver in Horseshoe Bay there.
And that's where I saw a lot of your other shows taking place. Hey, did you have a shop there?
No, I didn't have a shop there. Vancouver is ridiculously expensive, and I wasn't a chance I was going to open up a shop there. But I did a lot of the design work and marketing and all that kind of stuff out of my office in Horseshoe Bay.
Yeah,
a lot of the good hard work goes down in the lab out in Ontario. But no, it was I started setting up the little podcast room for the vape podcast, and it just kind of turned into a lot of friends coming over and saying like, "Hey, man, like, what is this? Can we do? We should do a podcast." I'm like, "Awesome! What do you want to do?" So it'd be like, "Okay, let's do strange encounters." And we went into this whole paranormal activity, and we did about like 4 or 5 episodes, but it's so difficult to get people together at the same time in the same room. It's one of those things where like the vape podcast for me is something that I can always do regardless of who's there, which is great, but you lack that kind of back and forth, that devil's advocate, or, you need some of that to really get concrete and deep about something. Otherwise, it's just me yammering, right? So, but sometimes it works out. Sometimes I'm just thinking to myself, what am I doing?
There's many a time that I have, at the last minute, grabbed hold of Bill Tarling and say, "Bill, want to be on the show tonight?" And thankfully, he's always there. He always says yes, mostly. Because like that, I sit and I yammer, and unfortunately, as I go on through the show, I get more upset.
Yeah. I get a little heated. It definitely happens, right? And no one's there to kind of reel me back unless someone can type real fast in the comments.
Yeah. And most of the time, I'm not even reading the comments. I'm just winding myself up. Fuck it, we'll take a break. And off I go. But you opened up a shop. And if you would, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of the city. What is the name of where you opened it?
I opened it up actually it's called Trail BC, just like, a hiking trail.
Okay.
It's in the heart of the Kootenays, and if you've heard of the Kootenays, you probably have heard of Nelson. Nelson is one of the popular areas out in this area. It's kind of like a little hippie town.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the mountains.
What surprised me, and I actually got on Google. And I took a look and I typed it in. And I'm looking at the surroundings, and I'm looking through all the Google. And you put it there, and the first day that he opened, he sold out of coils. I see this crazy post.
I mean, I knew there was a hole, and people needed. That's the thing. You look at it and you're like, my parents live out here, so I was like, you know what? Hell, I'm gonna go out there. It's gonna be cheaper rent, and I'll give it a shot out there. Who knows? And sure enough, all the vapors come out of the woodwork. And I learned that a lot of these people in town, they know each other, but they don't know that the other guy vapes.
Really?
It's kind of like, oh, you vape? Oh, I vape. Because there's like this stigma around it, right? Nobody wants to talk about it. It's like zeitgeist. It's, I don't want to, people will make fun of me if I say I'm vaping, which is crazy. You're quitting smoking and you're afraid that someone's going to make fun of you for vaping?
Yep. Tell them, folks.
Oh, man, it's crazy.
But I saw your post that said, I ran out of coils.
It's great. Oh God, yeah, and it's just like one after another. Like, It's hard to keep up, but it's still small. Like, it's still small, and I'm not stocking a ton of product, but it's moving, and there are a lot of people out there. And my favorite part is that because all of these guys haven't really been exposed to a real vape shop, I get to be the guy that educates them on everything, and they're all like, "What?" I got guys using salts, and they have no idea that there's a difference between the two, or it's crazy. I got one guy that comes in, he's putting salts in his sub-ohm tank because he just bought it at the store, and he didn't know. He had no idea. He had no idea. This is the problem with convenience stores and gas stations and electronic stores and all these places that think they should sell vapes as an afterthought.
Everybody in the States that is watching this and on the podcast is going to listen to it again. Rewind what he just said and listen to it again. Honest to God, we all have debates to where we know the correct education for any vapor that is starting or even has been at it for a while should go to a good shop, sit down, and learn more about what they're doing. Because you're hands down right. They turn around and they go into, oh yeah, I'm going to stop over here at the convenience store and pick up this liquid, and I'll pick up that nicotine, and God.
No, I heard about that vape thing. I saw the sign up front. Can I get one? Sure. You got people using Juuls, and they're like, something's wrong with my Juul. And I'm like, when did you buy this? They're like, 2 months ago. Have you bought a new pod? What? I need to buy a new pod? So they're just sucking on it. There's nothing in there. But they didn't know because the guy didn't tell them he has to come back and get a new pod. And one guy was saying he just kept buying new units because he didn't know you could just get the unit and the pod separately.
Oh, jeez.
This is where it all starts, and this is where it all starts trickling down into a fucking mess. Because that guy goes in and his experience, he explains it to somebody else, and somebody else is like, well, vaping, fuck that. No, I'm not touching that shit. Your experience was terrible.
Yep.
And then, they go and share that on the internet. And it's like, you don't know what you're talking about because some guy, unfortunately, went into a shop that is underqualified to be selling the damn shit.
And that's something that has always been happening here.
Yeah.
Every convenience store, every gas station, they aren't there to give you product information. It's just like McDonald's. You want fries with that? They don't care.
Yeah.
But I've never heard somebody sucking on a dry Juul for, that's horrible. That's horrible.
It's sad at the same time. It's funny because you think these are the things that regulation should be focusing on. If it's about health, if it's really about health, then we should be focusing on putting regulations in on who sells the damn fucking thing. And I don't mean fucking pharmacies, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
I've heard that tossed around, and that just can get real messy. It doesn't make sense again because you're going to be in a situation where the guy who's behind the pharmacy counter doesn't really know much about vaping because he doesn't fucking vape.
No. He comes in because it's a 9-to-5 job and he goes home. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. And he reads some paper that they send him and they're like, here's how to sell a vape. Here you go. Done. And that's the same fucking thing as a gas station. The only difference is the guy's wearing a white fucking coat. Like, come on.
Oh, I did notice in an article, Bill Tarling runs a thing called Vape Distortion on Facebook, and he collects articles from all over God's green earth. He put one out, if I'm not mistaken, it was a picture in England that vapor products had now moved to the health aisle.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that picture.
I was like, that's phenomenal. Why can't we do it in America? What the hell?
It's too smart. It's too logical. We can't do that. That's too much logic going on there.
Yeah, it's too much less tobacco income.
Our government doesn't know how to do that. Neither of our governments know how to do that.
No, I thought that was awesome. This is
that's amazing.
They use it as an honest to God stop smoking aid, cessation. Say, here, use this, stop smoking, and people do.
That's what it's for.
Now, see, I believe that Canada may end up going more in that route because
I've heard of that. Yeah,
the healthcare system in Canada is taxpayer supported.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah.
Healthcare in the United States is still a for-profit item.
Right. Yeah, it's still private.
It's not subsidized by anything. You get sick. People down here in America, they pray to God they don't get sick because they don't want to have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because that little bottle of water that they hand you to wet your mouth, that's $400 or something.
It's insane.
That's crazy. Anyhow.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, they still do things out here like you want to watch TV that's $20 a day. Like, what? And the TV's from like 1872.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sorry, you want me to pay what for that little TV? No, I'll use my phone. Thank you.
Yeah, it gets 3 stations. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, when you moved, this is just a curiosity question out of my own. How hard was it for you to move, for lack of better words, your production studio that you're in right now? How hard was it to tear all that down? Because I saw the pictures that you put in. I'm like, oh,
I should have done a time lapse. I knew I should have done a time lapse. That would be the most painful part, was tearing it down, and also painful just because I only had that studio set up for about 2 months, but it was still kind of sad in a way. I'd spent so much time in setting it up and doing a few podcasts in there and stuff. But it took me a couple of hours, and then it's funny. I'll tell you this though, I managed to fit everything because I'm a minimalist. I don't have a lot of stuff. Just enough for what I need.
Mm-hmm.
I fit it all in one Subaru Forester, fit everything in, drove out, had everything I needed.
That's the picture that I was looking at. I'm like, you stuffed all that shit in there? Really?
Oh yeah. I you know what? I get excited when I move. Sometimes people hate moving. I get excited for the one part, and it's the Tetris part. And I'm like, I bet you I can fit all this inside of this car. They're like, no, you can't. I'm like, watch me. I'll do it. I've moved like 20 fucking times. When I lived out in Squamish, I was always moving. It was just, it couldn't quite find the right spot, and probably not the right girl either. But
wow,
it was. I did a lot of moving around, but I got all over the place out in Squamish, and then eventually ended up in West Vancouver, just because the wife worked 2 doors down. And who doesn't want to walk to work? Actually, that could be a bad thing sometimes, especially if your boss likes you, because then he'll just call you up during the random day. Hey, can you come work? And he expects you to come work because you're next door.
Tell you what, we're going to take just a quick break because we've got a sponsor slot that I'm going to do real quick.
Cool.
And when we come back, I've got some other questions for you. But
Excellent.
For Smoke Free Radio, if the folks that are watching and listening, please check out the sponsors, because without them, Smoke Free Radio could not do what it does. We'll be right back.
Hey now, this is Dimitri with Smoke Free Radio, reminding you to please show some love to our wonderful sponsors. Without them, there would be no Smoke Free Radio, and they are as follows. All the way from Florida, Moon Mountain Vapor, with locations in Florida, and their liquid available for wholesale and retail, moonmountainvapor.com. Some of the best custards and tobaccos on the market from the Brickwills Vaping Company. The lovely Shell with a vapor bar, locations in Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. And of course online at thevaporbar.com. And who says you can't have award-winning e-liquid without cartoon characters? That's exactly what you're going to get at theplumeroom.com. And finally, of course, the Vaping Advocate magazine that has generously provided the telephone lines for you to communicate with us. Thank you for your support. And finally, for you, the listener, don't forget to check out the coupons and codes page on Smoke Free Radio. Pick up some e-liquid and save some money. From all of us here at Smoke Free Radio, thank you for your continued support.
Hey folks, P. Basardo here, and you're listening to Vaping and the Mic with Mike Peterson.
Coming back from our short sponsor slot, here with Nicolas Hesson, who is all the way from up north, the Great White North, and he has, tell me the name of your shop, if you would.
It's called Vapor Trail, Kootenai Vape Shop.
Now, I know that you also, and you've got it on that nice logo on your shirt. Tell me about West Coast Clouds.
West Coast Clouds. West Coast Clouds. I make some e-juice. We've got a lab out in London, Ontario. I work closely with them doing recipes and graphic design, and they do all the hard work. Let's be honest. They do all the hard work. I do the fun stuff. I get to make recipes and designs. It doesn't get better than that.
No.
But yeah, no, we're fairly, recent with our lines that we put out. But Danny, actually, the guy who runs the lab out in London, he runs a company called the Broke Vapor, and it's all based around DIY. And so he's been doing that for quite a long time. And we just kind of figured, hey, let's put the lab to use. And he actually just moved into a huge new lab. It's freaking awesome.
Really?
It's too expensive for me to drive or fly out there, though, to see it yet. So I'll have to wait.
That gets expensive. Flying from one coast to the
it's
other.
almost halfway across. It's almost all the way on the other side. So
Yep.
it kind of sucks. But there is, they did say there's going to be some new airline coming that's going to let me fly for cheaper.
Instead of Air Canada?
Yeah, it's called Swoop. I don't know if I trust it.
I used to travel quite a bit, and I'd go to the airport, and I'd have to grab a flight, over into Toronto or something. And the little Air Canadas, and I felt like I was in a sardine can. And those things go incredibly fast, and those guys don't screw around. They get up into, they get down, park it. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, what does West Coast go all over the place? Are they in international, or is it just more in?
We're
Canadian?
just national right now. I haven't even started to there's so many things to learn and understand when you start going international. So if somebody ever wants to help me out with that one day, I would gladly take your help. It's just something I'm not, with all the stuff that's going on, I'm just going to double down on what I'm enjoying the most, and just play it all out. And it's the international route. Maybe one day. It seems like a shitstorm going on right now. So I'm going to take it slow and just do what we do.
Has the business at your shop surprised you in any way?
Yeah.
I mean, things that you might not have thought were going to happen, but did happen?
Yeah, to be honest, a lot more older folks coming in was a big thing to me to see that I knew existed. I just never got to see it firsthand, and I'm so thankful that I get to see that all the time. But most importantly, this town is tiny, and I did not expect that much business. And it's not like business is crazy, but it's definitely more than I had expected. Where I'm located, you can actually reach kind of all over to the Kootenays. It's about an hour or so between Christina Lake and Nelson and Salmo. And so there's all these little tiny towns that, obviously only have a gas station to go to that has 12 monkeys or just, one of the big brands, and that's it. And then they'll charge $40 a bottle for that something. And it's just it's crazy to me. So it's interesting to see that how many people are vaping, but the fact that they've been surviving and still vaping off of the gas station stuff that's provided to them.
Well, it goes to show when people are desperate and they don't want to go back to smoking, they'll pick up whatever they can. Now, where's the largest town near you?
The largest town near me would be Nelson, or Kelowna would be 4 hours away from here.
How far away from Vancouver did you go?
8.5 hours.
Which puts you closer to Calgary.
It puts me right in the middle of BC. I'm halfway to Calgary.
That's what I thought. I remember looking at the map, and it's split distance, and that's what made me wonder. I'm like, okay, there's got to be something going on.
Yeah, and I would have. There's many other places I would have checked out too, but it's just I've been so independent for the last 10, 12 years that I haven't really seen my family much. I haven't really just been around. I've been doing my own thing. So I figured, let's do my own thing, but let's do it out there. Rent is affordable. It's beautiful. I don't need a big city. My dad's like, well, what about foot traffic? I'm like, well, I know that there's a lot of smokers, and where there's a lot of smokers, there's a lot of people that want to quit smoking. So we'll see what happens. And I don't need to make millions of dollars. If I broke even, I'd be happy. You know what I mean? I'm not out here to make a ton of money. Why not have the door open with the open sign on and help people out while I'm out in the back here doing, geeky, nerdy shit.
Doing what you love doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a guy in the chat room. He goes by LabWorks, and he runs LabWorks Vapes out of Australia. His name is Paul Blameyer.
Okay, yeah.
And his comment says, he goes, Nicholas reminds me of Dave Grohl.
Oh, I'll take it.
But looking at you, you do. You, honest to God, you do look like Dave Grohl.
I used to play. The long hair is a different thing for me. Usually I have super short hair. But I I was looking at my brother and my dad. And I'm like, fuck, they're both losing their hair. And my brother's younger than me. So I'm like, shit, I'll never be able to grow my hair long if I don't do it now because it'll take X amount of time. So by the time, so like, fuck it. Let's see if I can grow my hair all the way that I can pull it back and then I'll cut it all off again. So we're almost there.
Oh, you're not going to cut all that off.
No, not immediately. Not immediately. I think everyone's starting to like it. At first they were like, dear God, Nick, what the fuck is on your head? Do something with it, style it or something. I'm like, no. It's a challenge, and I'm gonna finish that challenge.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm at the other end of the scale. 3 weeks ago, I was sitting down, and now I came from the corporate America background, so certain haircut, everything clean.
Yeah,
and that's where I was for a long time. Now my son, he's 21, takes shears, and the wife just buzzes it. It's stubble when he's done. And he looks at me and goes, you ought to cut your hair like that, Dad. I'm like, I might. He goes, yeah, it'll never happen. I looked at my wife. I said, get the shears.
You fucking do it, yeah.
That was the quickest 15-second oh shit mistake. Not a mistake, but I had stubble, and I completely shaved, and I looked like an angry potato running around the house. There's no other way to describe it. There's no hair, there's no goatee. It's glasses and red spots on my face because I was pissed off and angry.
Yeah.
So it's taken 3 weeks just to get back to this point. I'm like, oh.
Well, at least you did it.
Once in my life, that's fine. I can deal with that.
Yeah, because then what if you wondered later on, what would it have been like if I had done it?
Yeah. I don't think that's quite on my bucket list when I'm saying 70 son going, oh shit, I wonder what I would have been. Now in the opposite extreme, how old are you?
I am 34.
Okay. That's cool.
I'm an 85 child. I guess you technically could almost classify me as a millennial, but I'd like to think I'm not.
You were born in 85?
Born in 85.
I graduated in 86.
Holy shit.
It just, the time difference that I talk with people is amazing to me sometimes, because most of the time.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and most of the time I don't think about it, okay, whatever. But there's an older singer that was part of the Doobie Brothers. His name is Michael McDonald. And if you go back and look at some of his stuff, he's got this silver hair that's parted in the middle. And I told my wife, I said, honey, I'd really like to look like that. She goes, don't even fucking think about it. But honey, no, not going to happen. When you started working making e-liquid, what were some of the finer things that you looked to try to do? I mean, were you looking to try to copy a brand, or were you just looking for a fantastic flavor that you wanted?
I wanted something that I wanted. It was so difficult for me because I did try vaping prior to trying vaping again. And it was when they were really kind of like the little sticks and the little light lit up. It wasn't for me. So I never did it. And then eventually someone came up to me and they were like, hey, have you tried vaping? Yeah, they're better now. So then it's, you got the eVods and the clearamizers and all that kind of stuff. But I just found at the time, I guess maybe just because nobody was really making e-liquid, I couldn't find anything that really made me go, I'm going to kick the cigarettes for sure now. So then eventually, you start Googling some stuff and you start reading and you go down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
And it's like the next thing you know, you spend $500 on stuff and you're like, oh God. And at that point with me, it's like, if I get it, I got to figure it out and I got to do it. And then I did it for myself. And I think this is the story for a lot of people that have made juices, that they did it for themselves. And then some friends were like, hey, I really like this. Can I buy some from you? I said, well, interesting. Okay, what about this? Do you like this one? Yeah, that was good. And so all of a sudden, okay, let's see what this is all about. And with my digital background in the media, I was like, this is fun. I have an outlet to do some creative things and come up with interesting stuff. I was doing bartending a lot, so it reminded me a lot of creating cocktails.
Mixology.
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm no scientist. I'm just a dude. Yep. But and it became a lot of fun too, right? And it's funny because back then I was just constantly making juice. For me, myself, and learning. And nowadays it's once in a while, right? It's I got an idea. Let's try something. There's
do you still
that I want to play with.
Do you still mix?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I still do. It's funny, 'cause I'm still like, I'm not going to buy juice. Fuck that. I'm making it. I can't help it. And I'm like, wait, you sell juice. This is what other people are going to think when you sell it. I was like, yeah, shit. Okay. But yeah, no, I still can't help myself. I still make it myself. It's just,
And that's what Paul,
especially with the shop, I'm like, oh, I don't want to open it. I don't want to use it because it's for the shop. Right? Like, I can't use it. I get samples. And I'm like, no, you can't use them. You can't use them. Those are for the other people.
yeah, that's mine. You can't sell that. You can't.
Go make your own, Nick.
Paul Blameyer had said that's the kind of the way that he started out. And I think anybody that has their own product line probably came about the same kind of way.
Yeah.
That they wanted to make something that they truly enjoyed. Yeah, you can go to the store and you can pick up a 30, a 60, whatever. But there's that, I really want something different. I want to try this.
Yeah.
So how many flavors do you have in a line?
Usually we've been doing 5 in a line. Like when I first started, I must have had like every single flavor you could imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd just solo single flavors, and that was kind of the game at the time. And then eventually over time, okay, well, I like these ones the most. These are more unique. Let's do these ones. I still had about probably like 18 or 19 different flavors. But after I started working with Danny in the lab, we just kind of cut that down and almost kind of just put it to the side and said, let's start over. Let's separate some of these things. Let's have a bakery line. Let's have a fruit line. Let's have a milkshake line and a cereal line, and just kind of work with that. 5 flavors per little line, and just something that we like to play with and just see how it goes.
Now in Canada, can you still come out with new flavors? If you created one that you really liked, can you still put it on the market up there?
Absolutely. Yep. There's new flavors. There are new products coming out every day. I think there's a lot of hype often around that because we're able to do that. There's a lot of products that just appear, there's hype, and then they disappear.
Gone.
Which is I think, it's silly, but it does create a little bit of excitement. But at the same time, for those people that are doing that, it's not business wise. That's got to suck. So you really want to focus on doing something that either A, you enjoy and you know that your customers are going to enjoy, or B, it's just like think a little bit harder about what maybe the industry might want, which is a little bit of hard work. So don't kid yourself. There's still a lot of hard work with this shit, guys. But like, if you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work.
No. And that's the way it was for Alex and I. It became a competition, and unfortunately, my wife Shelley became the guinea pig. And Alex,
someone's always the guinea pig.
Yeah. Alex, the kid, I swear to God, he's got a gift and a knack for it. He would think about it for like a week. And even with an AGS calculator, he would look at it and think about it and think about it and think about it. And he would go down, maybe the second iteration was it.
Yeah.
And Shelley would sit there and go, this is really good. And I would come up and I would think about it and I would mix it and I would taste it and I would take it, honey, and she would cringe. And I'm like, what the fuck? She goes, it either tastes like vomit or nail polish most of the time. I'm like, fine.
Oh, those lines. We've heard those lines so many times. Yeah. Taste is so subjective, right? Like,
yep.
I get people all the time, what's your favorite flavor? Or what's your best flavor? I'm like, well, one guy, it's corn puffs. The other guy, it's, bubblegum milkshake. I don't. And if you ask those same people, they'd say the other one was crap and tasted like chemicals. It's just so funny. It's part of the game, right?
There was one that I actually had on the market that died a horrible death, and it was subjective only on everybody that tasted it was like, you don't want to go to market with that. And I did anyhow. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
It was called smoked apples. And it was like a mesquite smoke on top of like a Granny Smith apple.
Yeah.
The oddest, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Until I put it aside, and I came back like a couple weeks later and tried it again and went, oh my God, no. That got yanked off the shelf real quick.
It's crazy. I mean, that's the one thing with vaping is that like your palate does change while you vape. And so it's funny because if you've been vaping all day and you've been making a recipe and then you think you found one and then you go and try it later, you're like, well, fuck, that's way different. It's almost like there's a weird finesse to it. I think if I imagined like some creative artistic video of making e-juice, it'd be like some guy mixing up and then vaping, and then every time he was done, he'd put like ginger on his mouth and like rinse it and then do it again and be like, oh, this one's perfect. You know what I mean? Like that, it sounds funny, but that technically is like how you almost should do it. I don't do that, but like if you really want to, it's a lot of work, right? You want to still have fun. I don't want to be eating ginger ale.
Yep. Did you eat sorbet in between the two of those? No. See, now the funny part, Alex, and I so seldom talk about my own vape line. Now, honest to God, I very rarely do. But Alex made a strawberry mint menthol. It's all that has been in this tank, I swear to God, for 2 years. And I can't put it down. And I've never gotten vapor's tongue from it.
It's, you know what? And it's the menthol, I think. I think when you have that iced menthol aspect to it, it does help keep your palate cleansed.
Yeah.
It does something. And it's funny you say that because when we were at the expo in Edmonton, someone had a strawberry menthol thing going on. And I was saying the same thing. I'm like, I don't normally do that. And then I had some and I was like, oh, fuck, I like this. This is good. And it kept tasting great the entire time. It never changed.
Yeah.
So I think there's some aspect there. And again, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. It's maybe something that Wayne Walker could find out for us.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I've you know what? Recently in the last few years, I've learned so much just watching some of that stuff. It's such a great little feedback, kind of just a little research panel, and you can learn and talk to people. It's so cool.
It is. It was just one of those things. It is an all-day vape. It was never meant to be hit you, smack you in the face. Everything's very toned down. And for our line, we're using like half of, I won't tell people what, but we're using a midline all VG nicotine, so it's all smooth.
Right. Yeah.
You know, people go, well, I need that throat hit. Well, folks, this is not for you.
Yeah.
It's
funny how that works out that way, that a lot of people still do need that throat hit. I think I needed it when I started, but it's just something I don't really care for anymore.
Yeah, we made this to vape, all-day vape. The only thing that's got a throat hit, his one that he made was a 50-50 blend. And it's a banana cream and vanilla wafer. Yeah. And I tried to put it into a 70-30, but there's so much flavoring in it, I couldn't. I went, that's stuck at 50-50. Well, tell me a couple things. Where can people go to do you have your shop online? Do you have a Facebook account for your shop?
Yeah, there's a westcoastclouds.com. There's a little shop on there. It also has a little link to like the podcast and wholesale stuff and retail locations.
Do you ship?
Exciting. I should start pumping my feed through to that website.
Do you ship through Canada?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So can they order on your website, West Coast?
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you. See, I'm going to get tongue-tied. I'm sitting here going, do they have a separate website for West Coast Clouds itself?
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. No, my shop, I do have a website for the shop. The shop is called kootenaivapeshop.com.
Okay.
But on kootenaivapeshop.com, because it's mostly locals around here, not a lot of them want to order online, but it's mostly there just to kind of see what I have at the store.
Nice.
And then westcoastclouds.com is like the e-liquid line, and you can buy all the products there.
Cool. And where can people go to check you out for your vapor show or any other show? And people, go ahead.
On Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, all of the podcast stuff. You can just type in West Coast Clouds Vape Podcast, and it'll pop up. Not all of the episode live streams I do go onto there. Usually it's like, did I say something worth value in this one? Okay, we'll put it on. Originally, you'll see the first few episodes. I was just doing it not live, and there's a little more better production to the audio and the audio quality and the topics that we talk about. But I've kind of shifted just straight to the live thing because I just find it's a little more raw and we can talk about what people want to talk to. It doesn't lend to the podcast as much because you can't really physically see me or the people I'm talking to. But I find people still listen to it. I still get a lot of hits watching or listening to it. So and then I mean, really, if you want to see the video, Facebook or YouTube, just West Coast Clouds, you'll find it in there. And you can always look me up, Nicolas Hesson. I'm interesting just on my own.
Now, to let people know, Bill Tarling put the link to the westcoastclouds.com. Thanks, Bill. That's awesome. He put that in the chat.
Oh, yeah, shit. I see it there. Thank you.
Oh, he's on top of everything. Honest to God.
Killing it.
He's got the bullwhip going. Mike, did you get this done? Did you get this done? Did you get this done? And I'm like, oh, fuck, no, I didn't get that done. Now, to let people know, there is a multifaceted sides to the gentleman that you're listening to as a guest this evening, because fired up the PC, I was sitting, and I noticed that he was doing a live stream, and on his live stream, he and his buddy were playing Super Nintendo online. I'm just sitting here laughing because I haven't seen Super Nintendo for a while, and they're having fun. But honest to God, it was nice for me to look at, because here you are, you have your own product line, you have your own shop, you are an advocate, you are out there, you're getting things, you're serious about it, and yet you're still taking time to have fun.
Having fun, you know what? Being happy is so important, and it's so crazy to me how many people that aren't happy don't do anything about it. And I heard a line once that somebody said, smart people are never unhappy. And I said, well, what are you talking about? Like, those doctors and scientists are always fucking, no, then they're not very smart. Because what they mean when they say smart people aren't unhappy is because if you're a smart person, you'll figure out how to be happy. It's not difficult. And so, people say I'm a workaholic and I'm always working, but I'm always having fun. I'm always happy. And so with a lot of that stuff with the Super Nintendo and things like that, I want to share that with a lot of people, because maybe they don't get to see into my life that we're fun. We don't just talk about vapes all the time. And I get, I'm guilty of that. I do talk a lot about vaping. So we try to have a little bit of fun, and I'd love to do more of that kind of stuff, but it's time is always a little bit of an issue. Right. But, yeah, I like to be a happy person. I think everyone can be happy. And I think if you, like, for example, if you have a shitty job and you hate your job and you're unhappy, then quit your fucking job. You can always go and find another shitty fucking job. You don't have to be miserable.
No.
Give it a shot. Give it a go. If you think that maybe you mix up great e-liquid, just go for it. Try it.
See, there's not. It is, honest to God, Nick, it's refreshing to hear that, because there's not a lot of people in the industry that will tell you. They always talk about getting out and getting the grind on and getting things done. Now, I know a lot of people in the industry, and all of them at some point have that wild side or that happy side, but so few of them display it online.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody gets this persona that they see, and then when they meet them at an expo, they're like, who the hell are you? You're not, no,
It's so true. And I think, I'm so grateful for some of this and being a media guy, because like when we went to the Edmonton Expo, there's a lot of people I've never met, but when they met me, it was like, there was no surprises. It was, hey, you're taller than I thought you would be. I'm like, yeah, because you'd never see my legs.
True.
I'm just like, I just show up as a stump walking around. Oh, hey guys, I'm from the podcast.
I thought the same thing of Fig Ramsey, who's out on the West Coast. Yeah. I had spoken to him. We had chatted. Finally got to meet him at a store in Ohio. And I'm expecting this guy that's slightly shorter than I am. And here he's slightly taller than I am. I went, well, that's bullshit. And he looked at me and he goes, what? You're fucking taller than I am. That's not fair. But it's true. People don't know what to expect,
Yeah. And it's funny because, it's kind of like reading a book. Everyone kind of has their own version in their head. And then even when I do this stuff, there's still people that think that I'm and then they meet me and I'm me, and I'm not. They're like, oh, I thought you worked for some big production company, and no, I'm poor, I'm broke, I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude that likes to have fun. That's it.
Yep. I'm the same way. Over time, Bill Tarling in the chat. He says, I still think he needs to try the updated original NES games converted to 3D VR.
What? 3D VR?
Oh, Bill is a huge VR guy. Huge.
With normal Nintendo games. That's cool.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. He videotaped some of his VR for me one night, and I was in awe. I told my wife, I said, we got to try this sometime.
It's going to be an interesting future when VR becomes more real than life. That's going to be some of these Black Mirror episodes and shit like that. Have you ever watched those?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God. Like, it's scary how close to reality it might be sometimes.
Yeah. It makes you think. Yeah. It makes you think, okay. I got into a conversation with Jerry Reed one time. He was talking about Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking.
Right.
Were saying that AI is going to be a real problem at some point in the future. And then Jerry showed me, he goes, yeah, they've got these, like DARPA, and people are creating these robots that can walk and basically maneuver on their own. And I said, well, there's a real problem with that. He goes, what? So I threw him a link to, this is like 20 years ago, that some jackass of a scientist made a robot that was powered by raw meat. I said, now you think about this. You put that kind of robot together with that thing that was just running at you. And it's a scary situation.
You know, that's funny because people argue, well, AI is never going to get to that point because they need a brain and we can't fully replicate a brain, blah, blah, blah. But a weapon, an AI weapon that lives off of meat and flesh, that's a problem. Yeah. That's a problem. Who cares if it has a fucking brain? Actually, you prefer it to have a brain.
Yeah.
Because the brain that's in it right now is going to go, yes or no. Yes, eat. Ow.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's 35 insurgents in that building. I'm hungry. Off it goes.
Fucked up.
You know?
Oh, God, Alex Jones must be having a heyday with that one.
Oh, I'll tell you what. It's just some of the nightmare scenarios I see coming along. Well, just like you say, Black Mirror, it's like, oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because people always say, well, this social media has changed people. No. The social media has exposed people.
That's a very
That's
good
what
way
it's
to
done.
put it.
Nobody's changed. Everybody's been this way for so long. It's just exposing them.
Somebody said that about money once. Money does not change people. It only enhances the character flaws that are already there.
Yeah. If you're a bad person when you're poor, you're probably going to be a bad person when you're rich. It's like if you're sad before you go on a trip to Hawaii, guess what? When you get back home, you're still going to be sad. Hawaii's not going to fix you.
No.
You have to be a happy person first. It's like people do think, oh, if I go to a tropical place, I'll feel better. Yeah, for a fraction of a moment. This is how the government deals with things. Don't do these temporary fixes. Fix the fucking thing.
Yeah. Try fixing the problem first. Wouldn't that be a nice alternative?
Oh, if logic came into play, it would be a different world. But unfortunately, we do what we can.
Dude, I tell you, it has been one hell of a nice hour. I am seriously thankful that you took the time to come in.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it so much.
The minute I was watching some of your shows, I'm like, oh, I got to talk to this guy and see if he wants to do a show. Just for grins and giggles and a little bit of education. Closing things up, if there were a couple things that you would want to tell people, what would you tell them?
Guys, vaping isn't going to go anywhere. We're going to have a lot of struggles. It's always going to be a fight. And I say this in a lot of my podcasts. If you're in the business, if you're in the industry, it's going to be a struggle. Any business, any industry, any product is going to be a struggle. It's not going to be easy. But we're dealing with some crazy stuff. And I think the most important thing to remember is that vaping isn't going anywhere, especially a lot of us who understand it. We can carry out we know how to do our own coils. We know how to do all these things, and we can teach people if it comes to that point. You know what I mean? It's just vaping isn't going anywhere. So don't panic. Don't think all of a sudden you're going to be starting to smoke again, because I'd be surprised. I bet you a lot of you wouldn't. But yeah, just be calm, and we're going to play this out. And if you love it and you enjoy it and you enjoy educating people, you'll still be around and it'll still be going. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. That's all. But look at alcohol, right? Alcohol went through prohibition. It didn't work. They struggled. They fight it. Look at where they are now, and they're not getting in any grief. So we'll get there too, because as time goes on, more information will be figured out, more research will be done, and the trend that we're seeing is that they'll find that there's really not much to find.
Ain't that the truth?
It's inevitable at some point, right? And nicotine isn't going to be able to be demonized forever once they start studying it more, and they're already finding great beneficial studies to nicotine. And the whole youth epidemic thing, guys, I think that's going to die out, because we all know what it feels like to overdose on nicotine. It's not fucking fun. And if you remember when you were a kid, the only part that was fun, the smoking part, was when you got that little buzz at the beginning, and then you just started feeling like shit. So I think the whole buzz trend youth shit will fade naturally on its own, not entirely on its own, but somewhat, because we know as vapors, even then when we started on 12 or 24, you eventually get down to 3 because you want to enjoy the vape. You don't care about the nicotine. I've learned this. It's not really about the nicotine. It's about the action, the flavors, and just the whole environment of it.
It's true, and I'm hoping that it actually does that. That would be nice.
I'm a little optimistic sometimes, but yes, that's how I.
The whole teen vaping epidemic is nothing but a bunch of shit to begin with.
Yeah. I just don't think that the teens are going to enjoy it as much as they do, as they're saying they are. I actually had a friend who said he talked to his daughter, and his daughter said last year there was about 100 kids vaping. This year there's like 20 because it's not cool anymore.
Wow.
That's interesting. That's interesting because we don't get to hear the stories from the kids that are being honest.
That's true. And just real quick before we close, 2 things from the chat room.
Oh,
guy by the name of Castello West. He goes, I'm late, but catching up. He goes, does he have legs?
Does he have legs?
And
I have no legs. I have no legs.
And right below
I
it
do.
is Paul Blaumeyer and no pants.
No pants. No
pants. Well, everybody, it has been an outstanding time here. Our guest this evening, Mr. Nicolas Hesson, who is all the way up in Canada, has a store which is named
Canada, Vapor Trail. It's called Kootenay Vape Shop, but we call it Vapor Trail here because it's in Trail, BC.
He also has a product line and distribution, which is
West Coast. You're listening to West Coast Clouds.
And Bill Tarling had put a link in the chat room. You can go to westcoastclouds.com. You'll be able to order Nick's material from there. And do you have a separate channel that you do your live, or is it just on Facebook and YouTube under your own name?
I actually multi-stream it, so it's going to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Actually, Twitch is an interesting place these days for vaping. They really seem to be okay with it. So it's interesting little the gamers come up. They're like, oh, vaping, I want to learn about this. So, yeah, I'm on as many channels as I can possibly be. If you look up Nicolas Hesson or West Coast Clouds, you'll find me.
There you go. Everybody, this has been Mr. Nick Hesson. Nick, thank you so much for taking your time this evening. It has been a blast. For everybody else, catch us up on a replay on the podcast through Smoke Free Radio. And otherwise, we will catch up again next week. I hope everybody has a great weekend.